All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're tearing down the famously aggressive and, let's be honest, incredibly effective negotiation strategy of the master himself, Herb Cohen. If you've ever walked away from a deal feeling like you left money on the table, well, this one's for you.
Okay, let me ask you something right off the bat. When you see a price tag, or a deadline, or some company policy, do you just kind of accept it? Do you just assume, well, those are the rules? Most people do. But Herb Cohen, yeah, he saw the world in a completely different way. And this quote, it pretty much sums up his entire philosophy. For Cohen, the world isn't some polite, rigid place with fixed rules. No way. It's a massive, chaotic flea market where pretty much everything is up for grabs. That price tag, that final offer, that's not the end of the conversation. That's just where the haggling begins. So that brings us right to the first part of his whole strategy. You have to understand the game and its so-called rules. See, for Cohen, negotiation isn't just a skill for the boardroom, it's a skill for life. And the most fundamental rule of the game is that, well, there really aren't that many rules. And this right here is the absolute key. You have to burn this into your brain. Everything is negotiable. This isn't just some clever tactic. It's a complete shift in how you view the world. Your salary, your cable bill, a multi-million-dollar contract, you have to truly believe it's all on the table. Because that belief, that's the foundation for everything else we're about to get into. Okay, so if life is this giant game, how do you keep score? And more importantly, how do you win? Well, Cohen argues that every single negotiation, no matter how big or small, really just boils down to who controls three critical variables. And here they are. Simple, right? Information, time, and power. Think of these as the three legs of the stool. Whoever understands and controls these three assets, they almost always control the outcome. It's that simple. So, first step, information. Now, the way it's phrased here in the source material is a little blunt, but it perfectly captures the idea. The person who's done their homework, who knows the other side's weaknesses, their real deadlines, what they truly need, they have an almost unfair advantage. Knowledge isn't just power, it's overwhelming, game-ending leverage. Next, we've got time. And the big secret here is that patience is a weapon. You have to understand that most deadlines are completely artificial. They are designed to create pressure and to force you into making a mistake. If you can show you are in absolutely no rush, that you'll just wait for the right deal, you'll find the other side's desperation will almost always force their hand. And the third variable, power. Now, this one is a total game changer. Power isn't always about having the most money or the biggest title. Most of the time, it's about projecting power. It's about perception. Your confidence, your posture, that calm assumption that you're in control, all of that can make the other side believe you hold all the cards, even when you really don't. So where does this perceived power come from? Cohen breaks it down into 5 main sources. You've got legitimacy. That's the power of questioning the official rules. Then there's risk-taking, being genuinely willing to get up and walk away. After that, you've got commitment, appearing totally immovable, expertise, knowing your stuff cold, and even morality, playing the it's the right thing to do card. You can pull from any of these to build your leverage. Okay, so we've got the mindset and we've got the variables. Now, let's talk about how you actually put this all together into a practical, step-by-step game plan. This isn't about winging it. This is a calculated, 3-stage process to systematically take control of any negotiation. The stages are super simple and logical. First, analysis. This is you studying the battlefield. Who really has the power here? What are the real deadlines? Then there's planning. You map out your strategy, your ideal outcome, and your absolute walkaway point. And only then, once you've done all that, do you get to the final stage, the discussion. That's when the actual dance of negotiation begins. All right, now for the really fun stuff, the tactical part. Once you're actually in that discussion phase, it is time to deploy the psychological power moves. Seriously, think of these as the cheat codes that can completely flip the dynamic of the conversation in your favor. First up is the flinch. Oh, this one is so simple, maybe a little theatrical, but it is unbelievably effective. When they give you their offer, you react with visible, audible shock. A little gasp, a lean back in your chair, a simple, wow. This tiny act immediately tells them their offer is way out of line, and it forces them to start second-guessing their own position right away. Next is the bogey.
This is just a brilliant piece of strategic misdirection. Here's what you do. You take a minor issue, something you don't really care about, and you act like it's a huge deal breaker. Later on, you can graciously and reluctantly concede on that point in exchange for something you actually want. It makes them feel like they won a major victory while you walk away with the real prize. Now for two related moves. There's nibbling and the salami technique. Nibbling is when you ask for small little add-ons right after the main deal seems to be closed, when they're tired and just want to be done. The salami technique is similar, but you do it throughout the whole process. You slice off one tiny concession after another, until by the end, they add up to something pretty significant. Now, let's look at two subtle but absolutely critical authority plays. On one hand, you can always say you need to check with a higher authority. This is great because it buys you time and it forces them to improve their offer for this invisible boss. But the limited authority bluff is a little different. It's more direct. It creates a firm boundary they have to work within, and it does it without you personally having to seem difficult or confrontational. Okay, these tactics are all great, but here's the absolute truth. None of them will work if you don't have the right mindset. And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most crucial piece of the Cohen strategy, your attitude. Seriously, how you carry yourself is the ultimate source of all perceived power. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The second you look desperate, you have lost. It's over. You have to project this aura of complete and total detachment. Sure, you're interested in a deal, but you absolutely do not need this deal. That emotional control is where your real power comes from. So the real goal here is to internalize this victor's mindset. It's about being cool, casual, maybe even a little bit cocky, not tense and aggressive. It's about getting comfortable with long, awkward silences and using them as a weapon to make them uncomfortable. And at the end of the day, the most masterful negotiation is the one where you get everything you wanted and the other person walks away thinking it was all their brilliant idea. And there you have it, the core principles of the Herb-Cohen negotiation strategy. It's a powerful playbook, right? Built on information, timing, perceived power, and that unshakable attitude. So I guess now that you have all the tools, what are you going to negotiate first?